Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. Today's guest is someone that I've worked alongside for years, an electrician, a mate of mine from my building site days. He's never had a single drink in his life, not since he was 18. And in the last 5 years, he's gone through a lot. He's lost all three grandparents and he's been through a divorce, all while raising his young son. That's the kind of run of loss that breaks a lot of men. And Adam's still here, still positive and still himself. This episode isn't about quitting drinking. Adam's never needed to. It's about something just as important, how you actually process the hard stuff without anything to numb it. Adam, welcome to the next chapter.
Hello, good to see you. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, first podcast. Feels very fun. Let's get to nitty gritty, see what we can talk about and see how we can help other people. That's why I wanted to come on this show and join you. I've seen your career from plumbing to changing lanes and doing something different. A lot of respect. It takes a lot of courage to sort of, change course. And I really like the idea of seeing what this could yield, how it could connect to people. Quite a private person, but you also said, would you like to share your story? And I thought, if it can help someone, then yes, even if it means sort of a bit of soul bearing, but I think it will have hopefully a good reaction. If it helps just one person, it's worth doing.
That is what this show's all about, mate. So, yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. So, let's get into it. So, tell me about growing up in Bath in the southwest of the UK. You were a third of four kids. Your grandparents were next door. What was that like?
It was wonderful. Bath, I still live here in the city here today. I was blessed from the moment I was born. I was born and raised to love my whole life. So with my siblings and my parents who adopted my grandparents next door, and often a lot of my family here in Bath still, always surrounded by people who love and care for me. It was great. I had the happiest childhood you could imagine. The 90s was just full of fun and vigor. And we were just allowed to be so free. My parents did a wonderful job in allowing me and my siblings to really be ourselves. There wasn't a mold predetermined for us. We were allowed to be as we wish to be. And that's quite rare. Now, as a parent, and I see meeting many people, everyone tries to fit into a mold, or they should do X, Y, Z. They should, get a good job, university. We've all heard these mantras, and get a career and then become successful. That's the measurement on a societal success. My parents didn't have that mold for us. We were literally allowed to grow up truly free because we weren't put in a mold. We were allowed to actually form naturally without being pressed into something. That was special. And I think about that few people have that. So I'm grateful to my parents for being like that with me. That they really allowed me and my siblings to choose our own way.
So, there was no pressure from your parents to do X, Y, and Z. You didn't have pushy parents.
No, not pushy. Supportive parents. It's a very different thing. That whatever we chose to do, they would throw their support behind us. So they push rather than try to push us into something. They would support us when we were trying to get there. They'd lift us up to grab that rather than saying, you should get this. They'd help in that way. And that is almost the right thing and a special thing to do. I can see it comes from a place of love for parents. Even with my own son, I'd like him to do this. Maybe he'll be an electrician like his old man. We'll see. Just because I want to give him the tools to succeed. But perhaps allowing him to find his own way is actually perhaps the best tool you can give so that he can learn for himself. And failing is so important that you might not always get it right. And that's okay because failure or unexpected events will change your mentality and allow you to think it and approach it in a different way. We always learn far more through failure than we do from success. You can almost co-success too much, but failure allows you to really stop and think about things. So I think that's helpful for sure. As a parent, I sort of see it from my mum and dad. And just grateful for having that.
Yeah, I think society, especially with school and university and career, they only it's everyone's sort of pushing for success, aren't they? Just what you said. But if you can encourage your kids to fail forward and fail their way to success, I think that's a great thing. But it's tough. It's so hard.
Nothing worth having ever came easy. Really, the things that we strive for their worth comes from the struggle. Their worth comes from the difficulty. If you're just handed things, you don't know its worth. If you just are given everything in life and you don't have to work for it, I feel sorry for those who don't know sometimes how it feels to be. They're given everything on a plate, but they don't know how to cook for themselves, and the joy in that is lost. So of course, we'd all like this and have everything for us, but if you do get that, usually when they're lottery, and are they actually substantially happier? No, because money is not a facilitator of happiness, not happiness implicitly. It's more what it can do for you and how you use it. But you can apply that not just to money, but your own mindset.
Yeah, it's so true. There's someone that I follow, Arthur Brooks, his name is, and he's all about happiness and meaning. And one of his the big things that he says is through suffering you'll find meaning, and if you don't suffer at all, then nothing will be meaningful in your life. And what you've just said, that is exactly what you've just said. It's all about delayed gratification and working through those tough times, because you're going to come out the other side a better person.
I think that's definitely a way to look at it. That, yeah, through hardship, a lot can be learned. Obviously, you long for when it stops raining, but at the same time, fill the buckets, and when it's sunny, you walk for the plants. It really is a perspective thing. I think that's, yeah, wise words. And like you say, we share that and we learn. Even in this podcast, you and I learn from each other. I think that's really important, and it's helpful, really helpful. So yeah, sort of what you're doing, like with life coaching, I want to come on and we can sort of discuss that between us as old friends. It's great. Yeah, so good that you're laughing, man. It's just like old times, just like being on a building site. Can't talk about that in the podcast always, but good stories, people. Good memories. Lots of fun memories on the building site. No better place to be, right?
Exactly, mate. The bands are on site. Yeah, I do miss it because there's no building sites like that here in the Isle of Man. It's so quiet here, but it's just very
A
different.
good
So
scene off, obviously.
yeah, it's a different chapter. It's a new chapter for me here for sure. So I mentioned earlier that you've never had a drink since you were 18. Is that something that you decided early on? And what's kept you there? Because I can remember back in my drinking days talking to you about this, and I used to look at people who didn't drink and used to think there was something wrong with them. So, what's your take on that, Adam?
Alcohol for me, since I was 18, I only used to drink it. People ask me this. I only realized to drink was it was a poor reason. I used to get, when I was younger, I was very nervous around sort of girls, and it was sort of like a peer pressure thing. I'd be like, oh, it'd be a bit easier. And I thought, even at that young age, I thought, this is a terrible reason to drink. If I can't be myself, then you're meeting someone on false pretenses and you're showing them a side that's not really you. And if they're also drunk, they're not being genuine either. So it's sort of like, it doesn't make sense. And I like to feel my emotions, feel how I really feel. I don't need something to facilitate that. I don't need a drink to make me feel warm or fuzzy. I can pursue those feelings without the need of a alcohol or another sort of resource. For all intents and purposes, people can enjoy, with all moderation, the things that they enjoy. It's never about being pious and being on my high horse, like you drink and I don't. It's more a case that I didn't need it, but society pushes, especially, when I was younger, it was to turn around and say I didn't drink, you would get absolutely hammered for that. And people would always try and push it on you, like, oh, not even on your wedding, not even this, not even champagne. No, it was not what I wanted. It wasn't something that I wanted. I always wanted to be in control of myself. Anything that would deviate from that, I would esteem it as dangerous, but also, why would I try and get away from myself? It begs the question, are you trying to numb something or hide something? Or if you can't express yourself, I can see what we'll turn to. I really can, because sometimes in difficult moments, it could feel like that it can you forget or dull something. But life is short. I don't want to dull anything. I mean, crumbs, 34 now, old man, and I can't believe how fast the time has gone. Even the last 5 years, like I say, so much has changed in that snippet of time. I'm curious to see what might happen next. But staying away from alcohol, I think, has been one of the things I'm most proud of. But I don't see it as an achievement. I just see it as just a choice. and fighting that against people who try to push it upon you. Really ask why. And if you're drinking then to facilitate acceptance, why? Why is what they think of you matter more than what you think of yourself and your self-respect? If you lose that, drink, I think, would fix that or console you. It can only cause damage, I think, and in those situations. But obviously, people use it for a little bit of, that's fine. Like, of course, people enjoy it and they enjoy the flavor. I also, I hated the flavor. I remember the horrible Strongbow and vodka tasted like shoe polish, and I was like, this is terrible. Why? Yeah, I'm just gonna stop. This is not me. Yeah, so cut it out completely.
It takes a lot of strength, especially at that age, not to drink because I would have just, well, I did obviously just give in to the peer pressure. And then obviously I developed a really bad habit for it. And it became a coping mechanism for me, as it does so many people. But I think, yeah, to be as resilient as you've been and not carry on drinking, especially all that pressure as well, especially when you're young in your 20s, it must have been a nightmare just all the pressure and the hassle to have a drink. And why the hell aren't you drinking?
Luckily, the people that I surround with and close friends that I still have even to this day, they weren't big drinkers either. I think definitely who you have with you makes a big difference. And how you carry yourself and who you carry with you. It's, you might have heard the expression, tell me who you walk with and I'll tell you who you are. In that the company we choose is very important. And my friends never made me feel that way. We sort of were an old sort of nerdy group, and drinks weren't really a thing that we needed. We would sit down with our games console. We didn't need any drinks for that. I would fail on my Super Smash Bros. If I was unthinkable. I'd lose that race at Mario Kart. No, it was not what we would. It's not what we would do. And yeah, more in school sort of days, and when it was sort of fun and it was trendy. So as you hit 18 as well, it's legal, it's allowed. It's sort of it hasn't got the same kind of edge of excitement. That's dulled, and therefore it becomes conventional, and it's not rebellious. So yeah, I can see people are much more accepting now, which is great. It was a lot harder when I was 18 in 2010. It was really peak culture of drinking. Like it was crazy. The late noughties until the early 2010s, it was drink all the time. It was everywhere. Everything you see, every advert, it would always be like a good time is alcohol. That's what they would sell. So it was marketing. Alcohol is the facilitament of a good time, and they still even try and push that now. For me, it's just it's a lie, or rather, it's a false pretense that that's something that's required. And I'm sure you deal with a lot of people who struggle with that. I'm sort of glad similar to back. I'm just glad I never, the best way to quit is to not really start. Steer clear of it. That's just how I've always seen it. And the older I get, the more sort of happy I am that I chose to put it. It's so expensive as well. Gracious. Like how am I going to be a collector of things if I'm always collecting beer cans and empty bottles? Yeah, no, thank you. No, thank you.
Yeah, the cost is mad when you break it down, and I break it down to people I speak to. It is insane. I mean, what you could spend that money on, it's mad. But so when you were younger, Adam, you went into retail, into an office, to a warehouse before you started training as an electrician when you were 23. What took you so long to get into the trade?
I think we related to it earlier that there wasn't a mold for me. My parents allowed me to sort of find my own way. And that's indicative of the path that I chose from my career. My first job was in a sports shop. I didn't even like sports, but it was a Christmas temp job, and I ended up there, and I enjoyed it, and they liked my demeanor and my sort of personality. They kept me there until the company went to administration. That was kind of fortunate because it sort of pushed me in a different direction. I spent some time unemployed, then I found sort of work in an office environment, which was quite nice, inputting data, a language school, and then finding the trade. I realized I always enjoyed working with my hands. With my dad, we did a lot of DIY. I loved making things. I loved putting your hand to craft and then building something. It's something so satisfying about that. So when I chose electrician, it was sort of I did like carpentry. So I was thinking of carpentry, but I knew I could sort of do that. But electricity, I've always found fascinating. So I thought it was something that I really wanted to sort of pursue, and I love my job. I love working with my hands. I love bringing light, like Jesus himself, bringing light to people. There's something special when you turn on a house for the first time. I work in new builds mainly. When you bring the power on the first time, that's someone's home. That's what we all strive for. It's what we call have life's investments, and I'm responsible for that. It's a very warm feeling. I feel I take great pride, as you know firsthand, having seen me on site for years. I take great pride in what I do. It's not just a house or a job. It's somewhat, I'd want someone to work the same ethos. Often a lot of people don't, but yeah, having that time to decide was so important. I originally wanted to be in the police. I think I'm a little bit too soft for the police. I think I would believe that I'd be like, oh, we're just taking this TV to get it refurbished. Let me help you lift into your car. I'd be too trusting. I'd have to think negatively of people. I wouldn't be really good at that. I want to help people, but there are other ways to do that. As an electrician, I like to help people in my own way, which is lovely.
Yeah, you care. I said it before we hit the record button, and there's many tradesmen all over the world, but you are the one that definitely cares a lot, Adam. That's for sure.
You got to, yeah, like we said before, give it your all. Why go halfway? Halfway is, if I'm going to do that and go home and just think, oh, I gave half, but I still got my money. I'm like, yeah, but if I shortchanged someone else, I could have just done a slightly better job. A couple extra, that's worth more to me. But more than the physical value, and then I worked hard for someone, and the sort of the pride when you go home and wash your hands at the end of the day, and you see them, and you just think, oh, I've achieved something. It's special. It's really special. Looking at screens all day, yeah, and the phones, get away from it, yeah. Clip some cable and screw some sockets in. It's good for your mental health. It's good. It's a really fun thing to do.
What kind of husband and dad did you think you'd become back when you and your wife first met when you were 19 then, Adam?
I think the answer to that is I didn't know. I don't think anyone at that young age thinks that far ahead. To think that far ahead actually can be so much damaging because it's nice to have a plan, but when a plan doesn't go the way you thought, it can be very upsetting. However, that's more of a person of ideas than plans. An idea you can change quickly. An idea can be reimagined on the dime, whereas planning of having a logical idea could take so much time that if it doesn't follow that way, the stresses when things don't go that way can be quite crippling. I didn't realize I would end up where I have, and looking objectively on my life from sort of 19 to now, 15 years later, 34, so much has changed that I couldn't have planned it even if I tried. It would have been impossible, but it it, it means a lot to sort of have that sort of yeah, as a young person like that, you can't. When you're that young, you can't look that far in the future because if you plan that far ahead, you're going to miss things in front of you, the here and now, and those things could be just as critical. And take care of the minutes; the hours will take care of themselves. Focus on the small stuff, and the big stuff will come.
Yeah, it's tough for young kids. My son's 15 now, and he's trying to decide what he wants to do. He's talking about going into the Marines. He's talking about becoming a plumber. He doesn't really know. And I've said to him, I said, you've just got to choose one. You've got to, but you can't really. I was talking to my wife about this the other night about. I was saying about going with your gut feeling, but I don't think you've got such a great gut feeling when you're that young, because I think that comes with wisdom, with life experience. So it is tough. You've got to just go with one and, hope it works out. But you can always pivot. You can always change. That one thing, isn't going to be what you're going to do for the rest of your life. It may very well be, but I think you've got to be very lucky to do something that you really enjoy from when you're that young until you retire.
And I think you talked about yourself with the youth and the younger people. It's hard to decide because they haven't got the experience that you and I have. Therefore, all the people, the wisdom that the wise have is earned through experience and time. Younger people haven't got that. And it's very easy to say, you could do X, Y, Z because I've seen it before and you have not. But at the same time, when we were younger, we didn't always want to listen. That sort of impulsiveness and rashness of youth is special and should be. So I don't miss the indecisiveness, the unknown. But time also felt so much longer. You had sort of time to decide these things. We know as years go faster, that with more perspective, years go fast because we have more to draw upon. So time always feels fast as you get older, naturally. Because when you're young, for your son's sake, so many sort of career options ahead of him. But knowing that whatever he may choose, he can choose again, I think is the thing to sort of let them know that it might not be a career for life. And in the same way that not every, we always think a marriage will last forever. In our case, in my case, it did not. Having that perspective will come with time, but if he puts himself, or any young person puts themselves in a position they want to find that sort of grace and stability, and if you support them, as I say, you, like my parents, you, rather than pushing him to the mold, you let him decide for himself, and you give him the help and how to give him a push in whichever direction he chooses. That is a joy. And like I said, if he goes wrong, your hand is there to help grab him and pull him back out if he needs that help. That's what a parent does. That's what we do. That's what our parents did for us, and that's what my parents still do for me, my grandparents for my parents. It's a chain of family and love. So knowing that, I wish every best thing for your son and for my son when he reaches that age. I look forward to be able to help him. I mean, I think, an electrician would be a sound career choice in the future. Gas boilers, plumbers, I don't know. But yeah, we need an electrician. So, if someone's thinking about a career change, you can come, have a little word. Want to steal them from the plumbing crew that you've been part of. But I think that's really encouraging, Luke. And I wish,
Yeah.
as a dad who's 10 years advanced to me, so your son's 15, my son's 5, literally 10 years apart. So in 10 years, I'll be your age, and have my son will be 15, and I'll be facing a similar sort of set of questions, and I'll be calling you for support. Like, Luke, what did you do? Where's he gone to? And that's the grace of wisdom that we share with people. It's
Yeah.
special, very special.
It is tough though. You're projecting your advice onto someone who's living in a different world as well. Obviously there's the internet now. There's the AI. A lot of careers are going to be changing. Everything's evolving. So yeah, it's a tough one. Like you said, you've got to let them make the decision. You've got to let them fail. Of course, you want to wrap them in cotton wool, don't you? But you just got to let them get on with it, and they'll work it out for themselves, right?
We want success, but success doesn't mean that failure is not included in part of the equation. And allowing them to go that way, I think will do wonders, I think. So, and if they feel free, as I did in my childhood, to be able to choose, I think the end result will pay you back in spades. And like I say, you wish them every bit of luck, but it's a gamble. Everything we do is, you're never sure. You throw those dice and you're not sure what you'll get back. That's how it goes. It's natural and correct to let our children grow and let them grow in that way. It's important. Obviously, I'm not at a stage yet with my son, but I look forward to when I do, and it'll be interesting to see how we react with each other. But it's because we have their best interests at heart, and we often cotton because we don't see them getting hurt. So the natural response of any caring person, parent, friend, but at the same time, letting them go out will do them a lot of good. Yeah, it's an interesting one, dude, for sure. But I think we're making the right choices.
That 5-year period, then, Adam, you lost all 3 grandparents. You went through a divorce. You lost your cat as well. How do you even begin to process all of that at once?
That's a very valid question. I think you need to process it. For me, I had to think about things carefully and almost shut off part of my mind, like the Titanic compartments. There are so many waterhead bulkheads. Some can fill with water, but I can still stay afloat. If it goes too far, and it goes over 5 compartments, it's gonna sink. So I need to make sure that, although it might look like everything's fine, keep it watertight and find a way to deal with it in stages, because too much will sink you. It will. There's only so much we can all take. My shoulders are broad. I've been able to take a lot, but every person has their limit, myself included, and I have reached close to those limits before. But knowing those limits has helped me gauge when I need to sort of really assess, and when those pressure heads are getting too much, what needs addressing. Almost like keeping in balance in my head, like different compartments. What if something's sort of leaking and starting to spill all over the rest of it? How do I address that? How do I stop it from becoming all encompassing? Because when it all just bursts, yeah, it can be very destructive. Yeah, I like to use a metaphor. So that would be a sort of way of a compartmentalized sort of approach of approaching things. To take it all at once would be a fool's errand. It could just become like a losing battle. But if you chase out every little piece together, but I think that's really important. Losing sort of grandparent to grandparent from 5 years from the birth of my son. I've gone through a divorce and lost my two grandparents, and recently my cat. It hasn't been easy, but once again, the faith in love and people that care for me has really helped sort of push me through. And being able to not be proud, but speak about my emotions, how I really feel, and wearing that heart on my sleeve. I go out, I meet people, and often, they're like, "Oh, how do you don't want to talk about the weather?" But sometimes just be able to talk to them. It's easier to talk to a stranger so you don't even know. You can almost express yourself better because they're not attached to anything, that you're sort of like completely free. And everyone has such a different opinion, which means that there isn't really a right or wrong answer ever, essentially, because everyone will have their own mind on it. You can use that, but really, so the choice always comes down to you. How you deal with grief and these things, it's a personal choice of how you interact with it and how you get past it. Mm. The last 5 years have been full of a lot of pain and hurt, but that perspective and grace it's given me, without question, has allowed me to sort of build a new life. Yeah, I had my midlife crisis already at 32 to 34, and it's given me perspective that I am so grateful for. It really has. That's the thing. I turned a horrendous tragedy into something that's like, well, actually, I can learn from that. And obviously, death is natural. We should talk about death. We should shy away from it in society. When I lost my first grandparent, I made sure my other two that were still alive as a couple, I would go down and talk to them. I'd take a voice recorder and ask them about their lives. I had these recorded. I made the conscious effort only because I was a father myself, that I knew what they'd done for my children. I wanted to hear their story firsthand. Like you said, the age gap, a whole different time, being born in the 1920s and 30s. But the ethos of caring for the children, that has been the same regardless of how old, and their parents before them. That never goes away. The society changes and values and other such things might, but the core values of love and caring for our children and the people we care, around us, that never changes. It might come out in different ways, perhaps, that might call old-fashioned. In essence, there's always love behind it, usually. So, yeah, it was a lot, but still here, still
Yeah,
keep on going.
you're still fighting. The separation then, Adam, not the details why, but what were those first few months like?
I look back on it now. At the time, I thought I was ignoring, sort of sides of grief. I went to complete almost denial. I set up just like everything's fine. I look back at it now and realize that I wasn't, but I threw myself into projects. I kept myself distracted like a steam chair. Like I couldn't afford to come to a stop. I had to keep putting coal in the burner. I had to keep ramping up the steam because I was like, if I could almost outrun my own vapor trail if I just keep putting it in. But at some time I had to let the engine slow and really come to grips with what was happening. But the initial reaction was to almost speed up and throw myself into other things to sort of, in a way, shying from pain. That alcohol might have given me the similar sort of escape. I threw myself into projects, my work, the things that were stabilities. So I had a project I was doing at the time, my work. That was a very helpful thing to work on because I was just allowing myself to overcome these emotions sort of all coming at once. The whole shit was, my mind was completely overflooded. I was sort of sinking. But I was sort of like, oh, if I'm going down, I'll just focus on all these other things rather than look at the problem. I kept it out of my mind for a while. It was definitely denial at the beginning. Definitely went through a period of depression, but I didn't know what it was. It hadn't happened to me before. It's a positive person. I didn't see what it was until I'd come out of it. But I was definitely sort of in a very difficult place at that time. Really, yeah, quite submerged, and I didn't even realize I was underwater. Only when I'd sort of come back up did I realize how dark and how deep I had been. It was a very difficult time, but I'm just so glad that I can sort of reflect on that, and I've come through and learned from that really difficult experience. It is quite sort of life shattering, really. 12 years of being together from 20 to 32 and married for 6. And then suddenly the person that you sort of built your life around and with and started a family with, It just didn't work, but that's okay. It's, I'm believe it or not, looking back, I'm really glad that we made the decisions. It's like you said, we choose now as a society happiness over everything. Rather than being together for the sake of it, we've chosen something better than that. We've chosen the ability to choose again and to show as co-parents of our son that we love each other and that we still care for each other, but we've chosen different directions in life, and that you can start again and you can be good to each other, and how to compose yourself. I think it's really helpful. And I'm very glad for everything that I went through, and glad to my ex-wife for all that she gave me. The man you see today is only thanks to what she gave me. I think rather than thinking what happened and where I went wrong, we should flip down and be like, what did they do for you? Where did they get you? And what did you learn from them whilst you were with them? If you think about that and you change the questions and you change your perspective, it's transformational, really. I think those are the sort of thoughts and sort of joys that have kept me going. At the time, though, of course, denial, anger, frustration, it comes one after another, a wave, and it pulls you down deeper and deeper. And yeah, I didn't realize how bad it got until I was sort of out of it. And that's why sort of today's message is to share that with whoever might be watching this video, to share that I've been right down there. Literally, but like I said, I didn't know. I didn't realize I was completely underwater. I had no idea. I didn't realize my ship had gone completely under. I wasn't in the apartment anymore. It was just all flooded. I didn't notice until I had a chance to come back up again. So to share it with someone or something to help someone, that's what I'm here for today, talking to you, to really share that and hopefully, make someone think I feel like I'm there, and just think that there's a guy who somehow managed to make it through. I'm like, oh, you can, and you must. You must. You owe it to yourself, for anyone else, for your own self-worth, your own volition. Like, it's easy for me to say it now. Yeah, what does he know? What do I know? Good question. Some random person that you may not even know. But if the words ring true from a stranger like myself, it can help you or make you just think differently about something. Isn't that working something in itself? If that helps you just let you stop in your thoughts for just a minute and think about it in a different way, that's all encompassing, all changing. That's what we do. That's what people do. And connection and love, even from a stranger, even someone you don't know. It's valuable. It's very valuable.
Was there a rock bottom moment, Adam? Anything that stands out, or was it just just a section of time? Was it over a month? Was it a few months when you were that low? Do you think?
I think the rock bottom moment came sort of, I would say, sort of 3 or 4 months down the line. I'd not realized subconsciously I'd stopped doing the things that I enjoyed. Telltale signs of depression now that I could see. I stopped eating the foods I enjoyed. I stopped playing video games, was a big thing that I really enjoyed. I stopped doing passions and hobbies. I was just throwing myself to work on my project because everything else around me, my sort of relationships and my family life and my partner's family life, all these things were all changing. Work was the only constant. So I clung to it as much as I could. I'd say the low point was sort of feeling like I'd failed, like looking at my parents and relationships and feeling like they did it and I messed up. How did I get to here? Like, I was so confident in everything I'd done. How did it get to this? I, how did I get to this point? I thought I was a dutiful husband. I thought I did things right. But even then, things didn't go anywhere near the way I expected. Like I say, completely up. We tried very hard. It's not like 12 years we tried a lot, but also we grew so much in that time from 20 to 32. All of my life, we changed so much. We've just grown as different people. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. The fact that we could take the decision and sort of walk separate ways with our heads held high, it helps me a lot. But there were some, that was a really, I'd say sort of 3-4 months in, I was not doing things for me. But to the outside, I was wearing a mask. Everyone thought, I don't look at Annie, it's fine, everything's all good. I was masking, I was hiding how I really felt from people because I don't like to put my problems on other people's shoulders. I have broad shoulders, I always have to carry that weight. I don't like to burden people. I don't look for pity or even compassion. I feel like I could sort of take it. It's sort of not pride per se, but then sometimes I feel like, and even if you did answer, who would listen? Who would know? Who would understand? Who could relate? That's sort of why I'm here as well. Maybe someone watching this might feel like that's me. It's exactly what I've been through. To open my mouth like that, who would listen? Who would really understand? Or as male, like, oh, shut up, or just be a man, get on with it. You make it work. It is difficult. Has been very difficult, but opening up has really made that difference. And even as today, just having this chat as old friends, hopefully we're doing some healing as your coach. That's a wonderful thing. So that's why, they're part of my soul, someone to enjoy, and hopefully that fire will ignite and then set something off that will help someone. That's really special.
You've never had alcohol to help you cope and fall back on, Adam. Do you think that's forced you to find other ways to cope, or did it make it harder?
I didn't make it harder. I think alcohol would have numbed the pain. It would have delayed. If I run away from myself, if I run away from what I'm feeling, you must confront the pain. You must confront the difficulty. To run away from that, to not be honest with yourself. Of course, it's painful. It's like a wound. If someone pinches you, you're going to attack them. You've been hurt. Your immediate response is to attack. But to look at your pain and realize what you've been through and realize that you need to disinfect it. It's going to be really painful. You need to clean it up and actually look at what's happened and heal that together. And when you do that, of course you'll have a scar because that's probably, but that scar is a reminder of what you've been through and almost something that you could see with pride. Alcohol, I think, would have sent me and many people so destructive. It's a dampener on emotion. It's a dampener on feelings. And I don't think healing can be done if you're suppressing what you really feel. And that honesty to yourself, alcohol would have, I think it would have been so destructive. I've seen what it can do to people firsthand. This is why I have a bad relationship with alcohol, because I've lost family members who were alcoholics who I didn't see it until after they'd gone, but the alcohol had caused so much damage to them. But looking back at old pictures, they always had a drink in their hand. They always had alcohol around. You didn't notice it. It was so subtle, but it was there. And every picture, there's a drink or a wine glass around. We just sort of brush it off. So damaging. 2 heart attacks and 2 uncles that I've lost. And I just think how, and in the later parts, it really ramped up for them. So destructive because they were going through difficult moments at that time. And it led them to an early grave. I think alcohol in that way is so dangerous. It's so dangerous. And we take it for granted, a bit like electricity. Electricity is lethal, but it's all so ubiquitous everywhere. We think, oh, it can't hurt you. In the wrong hands or used incorrectly, lethal, dangerous. Like start a fire, it can burn everything down and hurt everyone around you. Alcohol has the same ability. Of course, you need it and have a good time, feel warm and fuzzy, but it could also send you somewhere that you really don't want to be. So I'm so glad that I never went down that path. Thank goodness.
You've mentioned a couple of times about people saying, just stay positive, man up, you've said as well. What do you think they're actually missing about how hard that actually is?
I think those blanket statements can be man up or just carry on, can also be similar to alcohol, like suppress your feelings, stiff upper lip. It's almost incurred in British culture. Stiff upper lip, like people got it worse than you. You know, uh, it can be damaging. But then also that's part of me that trying to carry everything on my back because we've been turned as a culture to carry on, do as you're supposed to do, and don't cause a fuss. I don't like to burden people, so of course naturally sort of keep going. It comes as part of that. It really does. I think people can learn sort of a lot from sort of like, to take it to heart. But what they're trying to say is, you can feel like, oh well, I'll just put myself in a box and that's fine. The bravest of people are those who can really open their heart and soul Sometimes you might get a bad reaction. Sometimes people might ridicule you for it. But if you live with that fear of not being able to open up for fear of ridicule or what people might think, once again, if your own self-worth and your own value of opinion should matter more to you than what anyone else thinks, and how you feel, those feelings are valid, whatever they may be. And to share those with someone means a lot. And I think it's sort of man up. You can grow up from that and sort of realize that it's not just an expression or word that will fix it, a nice little adage. It's more than that. I think it's sort of people's way of not knowing what to say. So like they just say, oh, just people don't know how to describe it. They're like, oh man, it'll be okay, or it is what it is. It's just it doesn't really help. It's sort of it sort of shuts it down rather than allows conversation to flow. It sort of stops someone like, you know what, that's that. I think if people look at it in that way, it can be damaging. I do think the right attitude of sort of, open the eyes. We see it in construction, you see that charity help in the hard hat, and people in construction often sort of, the suicide rate in construction is 2 people a week. People feel so cut off, and I'm sure they feel like, who cares? Not my story. Man up, just carry on. It's very isolating. It really can feel very, very isolating. And yeah, sort of being here today and speaking openly from the heart with you, Luke, for your show, for whoever to see, hopefully, tip someone on scale and think, wow, it's never thought of it that way. That's the joy of sharing with someone and being yourself.
I think a lot of us are avoiding those deep conversations. You said earlier, didn't you, about small talk and talking about the weather. And then whenever anyone goes a bit deep, we back off and and those barriers come up and nothing ever gets dealt with. It's so good to talk, isn't it?
Just like you and I today, Luke, having a good wag between the two of us. Of course, we talk, we connect. People are our greatest resource. Connecting with people, it really is the thing that separates us from all other animals, and our ability to talk and the emotion that we feel. There's wonderful human characteristics of poetry, love, and care. It's something that is so important. I really think that, having that and be able to open up. You're right, people are defensive. People, they don't like to get muddled in problems or issues. I feel sorry for those sometimes, because once again, if you're just living life and I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to be meddled with this and that. Like, well, how will you grow? How will you sort of mature as a person if you just shy away from the difficulties of life? As you said, the struggle will help shape you. A valley is formed from the sort of torrent of water and the difficulty it goes through, and it leaves its mark. But there is an inherent beauty that's part of what it's gone through, and to allow that is so important. And those who shy away from it, they're shying away from something from themselves even. People are often defensive, vulnerable. We as a society are conditioned to be so, because being open can be seen as being weak. Being kind could be seen as being a pushover. I've had this before. People will see a kind nature and the wrong people will try and abuse that. And for those, I feel sorry for them, because with a strong heart and an open mind and an open soul, those are the ones who'll take life in. Those who try and crush that or put down that, I feel sorry for them. I really do.
You've said that you've accepted that for your son, you do it all again. What did getting to that acceptance actually take?
Time. It took time. It took time is a wonderful healer, and it allows perspective and time to grow. I'm where I am now thanks to the things that I've gone through, and that's correct. That's natural. To think about how it could have been different or what if, once again, questions that we can't roll back the clock. We can't always change how things have gone for us, but rather we can look at sort of what we've been through, and it doesn't have to filter to good and bad. It can filter into what we learned from these things. For my son and everything I've gone through, of course I do it again, because to have that mindset, of course you do it again, because this is your life. You must take ownership of every decision that you've made for better or worse, to do that, it's sort of like, oh gosh, it's like running away from the captain's bridge. Your life's going forward, the engine's going, but you run away. You don't want to look out the window. You don't want to see where you're going because it's just you want to run away or go and do other things. Life will keep going, and as you think, oh, well, maybe if I cut off for this and repaint that, it's like you're still the same shit. It's still you, and everything, every battle scar that you've endured is still a part of what makes you. And taking ownership of that and the decisions of your life, that is something that must be done to help you move forward. I really think, because then when you can look at yourself with love, when you can receive it. Because if you don't love yourself and don't feel that you can have that respect for yourself, how can you expect to receive it? You once again you push people away as a defensive thing. We're all guilty of it to an extent, but of course I do it again in a heartbeat because it cannot be changed. I take full ownership of every decision that I've made. Really, really encouraging and helpful. I'd encourage people to do the same.
What's the one thing then, Adam, that any blokes that are listening to this now and they're right in the middle of it, they're they're in the middle of losing everything right now and they just feel like shutting down. What is the one thing that you tell them? What's the first thing you tell them?
Patience. Think carefully. Life is a chessboard. You can't do something that would just mess it all up. Not every piece has paid its part yet. Think carefully about your next move, what it could expose you to. It's so hard because under the tension and the pressure of the eagerness to act and the sadness of the loss and the anger of the bitterness that you might feel of it's all been for nothing. Those natural things that I've experienced, of course, myself, they dig in and they take a hold and they can cause you to act so irrationally. Patience, just think about what you're doing and what its lasting effects might be. Because often with time perspective, when you look back and you think, why did I do that? Obviously, you're acting out of pain, you're acting out of anger, you're acting out loss. When we lose things, when we feel under attack and things are taken away from us, we normally fight. It's our fight or flight. We're destined to fight, but that can also cause a lot of pain. That can actually make it worse. To be able to sort of step back and take scope of what you're currently in, how it's going to change. It's going to change, but it might not be, everything will be different, but it doesn't mean it's not going to be okay. It will just be different. Accept that it's going to be different, please. It will change you. The only constant is change, patience, and think about your next move it could be for your children, or even for yourself, your own volition. Please look after yourself and just think, self-medicate in a way and do that whichever way you can, but not with alcohol, not with drugs, not with things that will null the pain. It's gonna take everything you've got. But when you get through that, I promise it will really lead you somewhere good. I think it will be really helpful for you. I just wish whoever sees this that it might just cause them just to reflect for just a minute. And they might say, what's this geezer? What does he know? What do I know? What do you know? Ask yourself these questions rather than just see us on the screen having a natter about it. Just think to yourself privately, feel the situation, and what could I do now? Think about your future, your kids, and what sort of relationship you'd like to have, and how you acted. That's so important. I always look back and think I acted as best I could with the best intentions, to put my son first, to think about how I could look back, because my son might go through this himself. I think everything I've been through, I can help people. That's why I'm here now with you today. Look, this experience can help someone. That's why I'm sort of getting out my private shell to share something so personal with whomever to assist someone. That's what it's about. May these words ring true to someone and really help bring them back from a dark place. Having been through that valley myself and been as if it's submerged, your darkest hour is only an hour. A day has 24. There are many, many seconds still to come. So hold on to that, please. And don't give up on yourself and the things you worked hard for. It can be so tempting to throw it away and let that bitterness consume you. It's like drinking poison, expecting that person to die. It is not good. It's not good. It will just cause damage. Please think about what you're doing and your next move. Act with grace, humility, and patience, please.
You've mentioned, Adam, moving forward, that you've been going out and meeting new people, hearing their stories. What has that done for you?
It's done wonders. I have met some of the most wonderful people in the last couple of years. I'm a natural extrovert. People are the most wonderful resource. Going out and doing things, obviously, my wife and I from 2032, I had a very rare second chance at 34 now, but 32 to see life in a different way, to get out there, experience things, but with all of the experience, XP points that I've sort of gained, to take that with me, it's valuable, really valuable. It's not something to be cut off, to be ashamed of, to hide. It should be embraced, celebrated, like a medal of what I've made it through. And the right people I've met just by being myself. I've heard so many stories. People have been through pain and hurt, separation, and by being open with them, they in turn were open with me. And humans, like we said, Luke and I spoke before we chatted today, we all need people for everything to go off and live like a hermit. Think about it. Or just see everything we consume, the internet for this call, everything is thanks to someone somewhere doing their job. Every road we drive on, everything we do, it's thanks to people. We all play a part in that chain. And getting out and meeting people has been the most wonderful thing. I've had some of the most best friendships forged and perspectives I didn't even know I could have. And that's only happened because of what I've been through. So through a cataclysmic event of divorce or separation has led to something you can see. And I wouldn't even believe you said it was. But now I have this sort of lust to sort of really go out there and see what it's for, because everything was sort of pulled out from under me. And now it's sort of like I really want to sort of see where it goes. It keeps it exciting. Like I say, when it's all lost, it's like, well, if you lose everything, is that a loss or is it a chance to start anew? And if you can let go of those things, you grow in a way you never could if you held on to everything. That loss will teach you something. Hold on to it, wear it proudly, and realize what it gave you, where it made you, and it got you. Meeting people has been the most wonderful thing. And even still, getting out and meeting people, it's what I love to do.
Yeah, vulnerability is the key to the door to connection, they say, and it's so true, isn't it?
Of course, to be vulnerable, to allow yourself to feel that way, it's very important. And I'm very glad that I can feel it's actually a strength. Vulnerability is a strength. It shows courage. It shows passion and tenderness for your fellow, kindness. By showing that to people, I've met some of those wonderful people because I've acted that way. It always only encouraged me to continue being like that. Right people, you put out those right sort of signals, the right people will respond in kind. They really will. And I've seen that time and time again. And yeah, I continue to see it even now. So just thinking about the people that I've met brings a real smile to my face.
I
It's
can see it
wonderful.
in your face.
Oh, mate, these cheeks, yeah, rosy, and yeah, it's wonderful. It really has been wonderful, really, truly.
So what does your relationship with your son look like now, Adam?
So my current arrangement is I look after my son on the weekends. Being busy in work, I don't get to see him in the week very much. Being sort of the saying like a part-time dad, I never want to be a part-time dad. I want to be there for every day and be always present. That's not possible. I had to grieve that. I had to let that go. I joke that I'm like a trucker dad because there are many relationships where, like a trucker who goes out Monday to Friday and sits on me and then comes back and is providing. I can still do that. I can provide for my son, but also going out and doing things. I'm healing myself. I'm giving my son the best father, a happy, content father who looks for joy and shares that with my son. I can actually go away and build that so that when I see him on the weekend, it's special because, like I say, when you're not with them all the time, I strive to give him as much fun as I can. And I'm privileged that not having it all the time, once again, it's a perspective that most people, they always have the children and they sort of we take it for granted. They become routine. My routine and the whole life I had has been completely blown out of the water. But something new and special can come of that. That's, I think, really, really critical. It's not how I thought it would be, but actually, I get to live two lives. I'm Adam on the weekends, and I also get to be Adam, and I go out and meet people, and I get to sort of be. I'm not a parent. I'm sort of I could just be myself. Not that I shy away from these things, but it's so nice to hear different perspectives from different people. It's really wonderful. So it's not something I would ever choose, of course not. But actually, it has real benefits as well. Being able to tomorrow night I'm off to go see a football game on Wednesday, and rather than wallow and make full advance of the time that's been given to me, Gandalf, he's like, they choose, I wish this never happened to me. I wish, I'd never been through all this. And he's like, to throw it in there. So do all those who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All you can decide is what to do with the time that is given to
Yeah.
you. Get that
That's
quoted,
it.
but yeah, that's it. That's it in a nutshell. No one can say it better than Mr. McKellen himself as Gandalf. Nothing is better. Like, yeah, instead of big nerd coming out of me, yeah, it really rings true. So yeah,
Make the most of the time that we've got left.
we don't know how much time that could even be. So yeah, very, very encouraging. Yeah. So not what you'd expect, but I'm making something out of it that, yeah, it's been wonderful. That's the thing is like, you think wonderful, I'm like, well, this are the cards I've been dealt now. I'm going to play them how I've received them. Because if I just fold or just bluff, I'm not doing myself a disservice. You're only going to win if you put yourself out there and you play your cards and that's it. And yeah, you might not go the way you think, but if you're going to, there's big ways you need to put your heart out in there. And I do that all the time. And like I say, for me, people before, it's paid me back in dividends. It really has. And it's only been a couple of years. Who knows what might happen next? I don't know, but I'm excited to see where it goes.
You've got into family history and photography after becoming a dad. What pulled you to wanting to know where you came from? I remember back when I was working with you, you were starting to get into that. You were going through the old family albums and stuff. What what happened there, Adam?
I'm glad you mentioned it. For me, looking at sort of family history, we all take photographs, right? What are we taking the photographs for? I do it quite succinctly. I like to sort of remember things. It helps keep my memory sharp. Looking back in the past, I love history as well. History is teaching us something. Photographs teach us something. It gives us perspective on our lives. And even when we look at pictures of ourselves from our younger years or from our parent, I look back and I'm like, it's me, but that's not who I am now because of what I've come through. Looking back at old family pictures and seeing people that I've never met who are family blood of mine, from where I've come from, realizing what they had been through sometimes, that they might have, luckily we were in a society we could talk about it. But looking at, say, my great grandfather, he was raised in a time, he served in the First World War as a pilot and then was interned and then had to go back to war again, died in 55, in 52. So almost 10 years of his life were occupied by war, rationing, and everything that changed after that. Looking at someone's life, he was a family member from start to finish. It's very strange, but also gives you perspective that it wasn't always like that, and it could always change. And if I look at my own life in a similar sort of ethos, right now, sort of from here to separation, like, yes, there was a critical juncture moment, but you could say the same for many things that my families have gone through before, loss of children or war, and how people came back from that. So perspective of family and where we've come from, and that could be through all sorts of things. It really helps ground you, and I can't wait to sort of share that story with my son, I would take away pictures like one day to be able to sort of remind him where he comes from and think, part of a huge chain, you, I, all of us. People who have cared for us before, and often a lot of people forget or they ask the questions too late. I'm so glad that I got into it thanks to my son being born, thinking of where I came from and how much that made a difference for me. It really, as a catalyst in sort of getting out there, and it's wonderful. I recommend if you have grandparents who you can speak to, please speak to them. It's so valuable. Now I've lost them all. Having their memories and the things for them, it's a legacy because we think, well, if we're not here, how would we want to be remembered? It's a question I pondered the other day. And your money, your cars, the things you own, when someone dies, you walk into the house and they're not there, it just becomes material items. What do we crave? We crave photos. We want to see them. We want to feel what we felt within the memories. It really drives home the perspective. And for family history photography drives that home that we're so chasing a dream sold to us of you get a bigger house, this and that. You just stop for a minute and think, what really matters is the sort of memory things we enjoy. It's wonderful. So yeah, it's changed me in that perspective so much. It really is fantastic. Like the memories we have, that is our most precious piece of our photographs. That's joy personified. That's time machine personified. You can't get that. And it's a gift we leave for others. These gifts that they've given to their life is a window of who they are. I would hope that if I wasn't here, people would sort of look back at photos and be like, and remember me for kindness, compassion, putting myself out there and doing things for other people. That's how you'd want to be remembered. And photograph is a wonderful thing for that. Really valid, very.
How would you like your son to remember how you've handled everything and what you've been through, Adam?
It's a very poignant question. When my son is old enough to see this, perhaps, and understand, I hope he'd be like, "Oh, how did you get through all that?" Honestly, one day at a time. I didn't have a map. I literally made it up as I went along, and I still do that even now. I think that's key, that we don't know what might happen next, and allowing things to let go, and that could be feelings and even people sometimes. Sometimes if we love people, we'll let them go as well. If the reasons to stay in our life are selfish or not good, we should let them go. It's healing. It's important, and to encourage people and wish them all the best. I hope that Leon, when he's old enough to understand why his mum and dad weren't together, perhaps he realized that his mother and father chose happiness for themselves and to show him how to behave. And even though it was difficult, I hope we do him a great service, and he'll know that we did love each other. The reason he's there is because we loved each other. He can look in the mirror and know that he's a product of love. Every person watching this, we're all parents of people, two people who love each other. We came into this world through love, and to hold on to that and protect someone else, very important indeed. So I hope that whatever he goes through, I can't, I can't wait to help him. Every wound and every scar, I can help. I can show him and be like, son, I've been there. And sometimes you might walk that path and you'd be like, Dad, why didn't you stop me? I'm like, because the things you might get from that, if you don't experience it yourself, you'll never know. And that will give you an insight and you cannot earn, you cannot buy. It's so valuable. Yeah, I hope that he learns that one day. I can't wait. Or even future children. There could be more. I don't know. We don't know what will happen next. I haven't dismissed the idea. We'll see what happens next. It really is as simple as that, isn't
There's so many unteachable lessons that we just got to let them find out themselves. It's hard. We mentioned it before. Wrapping in the cotton wool, it's not going to do them any good in the long run.
it? No. You wouldn't want to wrap yourself in cotton wool because it, like alcohol, it diminishes it. You must confront the pain. You must deal with that. And it's so hard. Why do people run from it? I know people as well who also, they travel constantly. They show a life. It's not genuine. We know these kind of people. We see them. They live a life that everything's all perfect and rosy, or online all we see is it's fiction. It's just in social media times very hard because things are for clout or look at this and that. And we need to sort of take a step back and just think that it's okay to sort of to feel like that, and that those emotions teach you something. Um, People could be like a mirror. Through people, you can they will reflect things back to you that you can see about yourself. That in that mirror, the more we see people as they look into those mirrors, we learn things and they see things of themselves through us. To act like that is really special. To see what you can see, that reflection, what you learn about yourself. But to look in the mirror of yourself, your own soul, and what you've been through, it's very healing, very part of the journey. I would highly recommend it to anyone going through these sorts of hardships. Please, for your own self, well, I wish you, stranger, wherever you may be, happiness. I wish you the ability to be able to look at yourself, the mirror to your soul, and think about what you've been through, and as painful as might be, to sort of bring those parts of yourself and give them love. Realize that they are not failures, are not sort of bad and good. They are emotions that you need for that perspective to grow. And when you can do that, you can really heal. Yeah, I wish that for you, kind, whoever you may be. I wish that for you. I really do. Of
After all you've been through over the last 5 years, Adam, has it changed you from your perspective?
course, the only constant that's changed, Luke. My perspective has been my world has been picked up and dropped. But from that smashing of all the glass, you can put something, like I say, a reflection you didn't even realize was there, and you can put the pieces together, and actually those lines and seeing that, it actually gives it a uniqueness, a beauty that is special, and you should hold on to. Yeah, the perspective and stuff that I've learned, it's hard to relate to people my age. Most people about 34 haven't had a 12-year relationship or been married and had divorce and had a child. I see it frequently when I go out and I mix people, and I can feel very isolated sometimes, very on my own. But I also think I carry a wonderful perspective and beauty, and I share it with people, and they share it with me. We reflect something beautiful in each other, often with the interactions I have. Not always. Sometimes, it's like lighting a candle that just goes out. That's fine. We'll meet people like that. They click with others and not with you. That's absolutely fine. But vulnerability and courage will do you wonders. It will help a lot, I think. So yeah, I'm so thankful for it all. I really am. That acceptance and that grace is the greatest gift you give to yourself. To look back and be like, I'm so glad I made the decisions, because it led me to where I am now. And this perspective is only gained through that. And I think that means a lot. So I think, yeah, I just wish that sort of healing can sort of pass to others. And like I say, of course, there's still pain. It's not, it never sort of really go away. It's like chucking a huge rock in a lake. It was a massive splash, ripples everywhere, huge things. And over time, the ripples diminish and it seems all calm again. But that rock, that it's always there. It'll always be there at the bottom, but that's part of you. Remember that. Hold on to that. Keep that with you. It's not to be thrown away. It is a reminder of what you have been through, and very important, very important to hold on to that. And I do that frequently. And even through the hardships and sometimes the down days, perspective brings me back. It always does. And the humility and the sort of realizing that it, it will change. It will change, and the circumstances will be different. Accepting that, holding on to that, really important, Luke. Really, really. It's what's really given me a sort of a fire in my soul to really carry on. So yeah, today's podcast will be quite fun. Hopefully some people will get some real stuff out of it. I'm curious to see the reaction of what they think.
They definitely will, Adam. If you could go back and give any advice to your younger self before this happened, what would you say?
I think I would say you don't know what you might go through that unknown doesn't have to be fear. Take each encounter and emotion for what it is. You can't always see it at the time, but what you gain from it, that is the memory of life and the valuableness of it. Often regret is sort of looking back and saying, I could do it differently. To avoid that, be yourself, be genuine, think about what you've been through, and don't be afraid to have that on your shoulders and talk about how you genuinely feel. Think that healing will help so much. I've always wanted to always be there for the people I love and care about, and be present, and not dull my emotions through alcohol or such things, and feel like it was necessary. What was necessary was how I valued myself, my own self-worth, and sharing that love with other people. Love grows when we give it to others. It grows when we put it out there. If we lock it away, we hide it, it diminishes. We need other people to share this with. Sharing that kindness and that joy. When we have a bad day, someone could do such a small thing to help you, where it's just like, "Oh, you dropped this," or, "Can I hold the door for you?" So these little things really stick in our mind. That same kind of mindset of keeping hold of those good interactions, because the bad times will, of course, inevitably become the hard times. But when you learn from those interactions, it will really give you something, really very much so. So therefore, each experience is valid. Each experience is valuable. So good and bad doesn't really tie into it. For whoever going through some really hardship like I've been through, it will lead you somewhere. Follow how you feel. Encourage those emotions and learn from them. The time will allow you to look back. If you take care of those minutes and take it for yourself, when you look back, you'll know you can look back with sort of pride and knowing that you did what you could. Uh, That's how I like to look back at sort of my legacy. That I did what I could, and I lived the moments I wanted to live and help people. If a life lived for others is the most wonderful of all. When you give, you receive, and that is something really special. So that would be the thing, is to just give it your all. Like they say in the words of Killer Gabon, a life half lived is not a life lived at all. If I let that fear get to me, what could happen again? I could get married, it could all fall apart. I wouldn't get out of the front door. I wouldn't get in a car. I could get in an accident. That fear that would hold me back. I got to think, flip that and be like, well, it could go wrong. If it did, I'd be down that road. If I go down a similar juncture, if I let that fear change me, change who I am and how I feel, you lose who you are. And to hold on to yourself and how you feel is the most important thing, I'd say. So hold on to that, please, whoever you may be. Hold on to what makes you you. Don't shy from it. Take those experiences with you.
What does the next chapter look like for you then, Adam, moving forward?
Chapter. I don't know, is the honest answer. I thought I knew, but recent circumstances and other changes in my life have once again shown me that things don't always go the way I expected them to go. I think that's important. So for the next chapter, we'll see what happens really. The book is not finished, and there's still so many pages to add. I think the chapter really is written just a sentence at a time, and you only really see the chapter once you've gone through it, and then you find the natural pauses. Really, that comes with time. So seeing it as a natural chapter, more as like the next chapter is right now. This chapter could be a different chapter of posting, and then I'll meet someone new. It all overlaps. So I think seeing it in that way is encouraging. We don't know what the next thing will be. That keeps life punchy, doesn't it? Like
Mm.
if I knew I was going to add this, that, and or it's going to go to that plan, like marriage, you settle, and it's this. It's been so different, and it's been so been really incredible to sort of see things in a different. I didn't know I could have a life like this. I thought it was impossible. If someone said to me 5 years ago, "You'd go for this," I'd be like, "Nonsense. It cannot be." It is, it was, and it will continue to be so. That is special, really special. So keep your head high and just keep keep on keeping on, as they say in Death Stranding too.
That's what they well, it's all about remaining excited and remaining curious. I think that's what makes life so precious, right? We don't know what's going to happen. Our brain is a prediction machine. It assumes what's going to happen over the next so many years, right? And think life's just not like that. Life is always going to change and evolve. New people are going to come into your life. People are going to leave your life. But that's what makes everything so exciting moving forward.
Well, you said it there. My 5-year-old son, looking through life in a child's eyes is so special. My son will notice things that I completely gloss over. He'll see something like, "Daddy, look, there's a snail. Look at this snail. There's a woodlouse." I wouldn't pay it a second thought. To think like a child, to sort of, they see it in a moment that over time we're encouraged in the sort of mindset of this and that and future careers. A child's wonderful curiosity, they don't know what's going to happen next. They're guided through for us as our parents. Why can't I take that same mentality of my life? That life, I can put things in place. I could build, the highest fortress and have it all, and then something could happen and wash it all away. Learning from that and being able to come to terms with that, it's so important, and that you can learn so much from it. So I think, yeah, isn't that sort of wonderful to see it through children's eyes? As a father yourself, Lou, you know what I mean. Like, as a parent, it's the most wonderful thing I'd ever done. And for my son, the perspective and knowing what family sacrifice for me, it means so much. The hardest thing, but that hardship gave me perspective and joy. There's a reason we have children. There's a reason why humanity continues to procreate and live life. We're kind of drawing away from that. We kind of, as a society, we live quite selfish lives. We want to do what we want to do all the time. For me, real joy, I couldn't do what I wanted to do all the time for many years. You compromise everything in sort of a balance. Suddenly being able to then do as I wished was really rare and unusual for me, but I could do it my way. And that was really nice, but it taught me so much about myself. But when you can't always do it your way, that perspective, being a child and knowing that you can't always do what you want with them because you need to look after them, you can't just run off and do what you need to do all the time. That balance, the same in a relationship. In a good relationship, there'll be a balance. You can't always do what you want to do. You find a compromise because when you love that person, when you care for that person, that balance of finding that equilibrium is beautiful. And actually now I hope to find someone one day again, and to be able to put my heart on that. That's the child of recovery, that I can feel that way again. I can feel vulnerable. I can put myself out there because that's a genuine Adam. If I show them something else, it would be less. I only want to show them who I really am, and the love that I care. I go, yeah, full, ahead of it. But that's just how I am. It'd be disingenuous if I wasn't. That's part of my sort of mentality. But it keeps me in check. It's not a pursuit. It's not a time frame for this. I want to take my time with it. And as a man, I was always quite lucky as well. We don't have the biological clock that women unfortunately have that sort of force them to make the decisions. I'm blessed that I can sort of really observe the playing field. I have my legacy already. I have my son, and I have my house and my career and many wonderful blessings. I want to share that sort of joy with others, because when you can ignite the flame of joy for other people, that is in itself, it's the greatest gift. So that's for me what is it, that perspective and balance. When I find someone, I like to find that balance, because when you share your life, like you with your wife, or you share it with someone, that reward is worth it. Being able to do what we want all the time, it has its limits, but being able to share what I love and have those memories compounded and twofold experience, a double joy that you share, and memories that's doubled, there's no price for that. And with children as well, watching them grow and sharing that, they will have memories that'll come back to me and say, "Oh, Dad, I remember when you did this for me." And it's like something I don't even remember. I can't wait to see what my son brings to me, and what other experiences or things I might have. It's very special. I can't wait to see what happens.
Thank you so much for coming on today. I've learned so much about you, and I've worked with you for years as well. You've mentioned it many times during the podcast. You know, if it can help one person, and it's going to help a lot more than you think, mate. You didn't have to come on there either and be so vulnerable and share what you have. Like, you have nothing to sell, you have nothing to promote, but you still chose to give up your time and come on today. You know, losing what you've lost and still choosing to stay true to yourself. It's not luck, mate. That is a decision that you've made every single day. And, you know, I think anyone that's listening who's in a dark place, they can learn so much from what you've shared today. So thank you, Adam. I really appreciate it.
Uh, Luke, thank you for giving me the chance to have a platform to share that with someone for what you've done. As I say, if anyone watching, I'm a very private person. I've never done something like this. I'm normally, yeah, quite reserved. I never put anything on social media. It's just not me. Whereas this is a case to sort of reach out and just try and sort of pass that on. In this digital age, it could be a blessing to sort of share that story with someone. Someone going to listen to this podcast and, doing the dishes or having a little listen, and yeah, maybe something will just ring true, and something will be like, wow, what a way of thinking about things. I'm just a man. I have no formal. We're just talking as old friends. Like I said, it's not about promoting something or saying, "Hey, you should do it this way or that." I think today's discussion really about look to yourself as well. Try to encourage. Look at yourself and look about where you've come from, and try and instill that sense of calm and grace. Very important. And yeah, can't wait to see how people might be affected by that. So yeah, if you managed to make it to the end, thank you for listening to Luke and I having our good things. I could be a tad loquacious, but that's Luke knows that's what I've always been like.
Thank you so much, Adam.
My
Take
pleasure,
care.
Luke. My absolute pleasure. You take care as well.
Cheers, buddy. Bye bye.
Bye bye.